county and state officials say they are investigating 3 cases of Legionnaire's disease associated with the Ritz-Carlton Bachelor Gulch in Avon. All cases occurred in visitors to the valley and no deaths have been reported. That certainly is the good news. Officials say the onset of symptoms happened between July and December of 2025. All hot tubs and spas at the resort were closed immediately after Legionella bacteria was detected from sampling. These facilities have recently reopened after extensive remediation, and follow-up testing confirmed the systems are free of the disease. The Ritz-Carlton Bachelor Gulch has also implemented guest and staff notifications following this finding. Meantime, health officials say there is no risk to the broader community.
On today's Media Miss Minute, internal emails show ICE is struggling to vet new hires as it races to meet the Trump administration's recruitment push. Plus, Vancouver's attempt to oppose U.S. ICE agents at the FIFA World Cup is ruled out of order. I'm Craig DeGrelli. In today's Media Miss Minute, we're looking at 2 stories largely sidestepped by partisan outlets, starting with what the left is missing. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is strained by a surge in hiring, according to an internal email obtained by Reuters. The warning? A high volume of new hires combined with backlogged background checks could create problems for field offices, especially if allegations of prior misconduct surface after recruits join the agency. Now to what the right is missing. A Vancouver City Council motion opposing the deployment of U.S. ICE agents at the FIFA World Cup has been ruled out of order. The motion claimed allegedly undertrained foreign ICE agents would undercut city policies on safety, equity, and migrant rights. But here's the problem. ICE is not scheduled to be at the games. The motion was ruled invalid on that basis.
At least 15 people are dead and 30 more injured after a plane crash in Bolivia. Authorities say the military cargo plane was carrying money from the country's central bank before crashing onto a busy highway. It's still unclear this morning if the victims were on the plane or the cars on the highway.
Why won't Vladimir Putin end the war? It is unlikely that either Ukraine or Russia will be able to declare something it can call victory. And the blame lies with one man, Vladimir Putin. Since the start of the war, Russian forces have suffered approximately 1.2 million casualties, more losses than any major power in any war since the Second World War. In 2025, there was an average of nearly 35,000 casualties per month. Yet progress on the battlefield has been halting at best. Since the war began, Russian forces in Donetsk, the main focus, have advanced just 60 kilometers, the distance from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore. By comparison, in the 1940s, the Red Army advanced 1,600 kilometers from Moscow to Berlin in the shorter Great Patriotic War. Putin seems willing to sacrifice people in order to achieve his aims, but he cannot recruit soldiers fast enough to replace the dead and wounded. Russia relies on money rather than patriotism to enlist its soldiers. Reports show that the average sign-on bonus has now reached 2.43 million rubles, the equivalent of $32,000. The money is getting harder to find. The army's bill for manpower has increased to around 2% of GDP, and nearly 40% of that is payments for deaths in service. Putin will not agree to peace, though, because this could trigger a crisis at home. Defense now accounts for 8% of GDP in Russia, meaning the rest of the economy has been weakened. The challenge of redeploying resources from war-making to peace, including finding work for soldiers returning from the front, could induce a deep recession. Plus, disgruntled veterans destabilize regimes. Polls suggest that Russians would initially welcome the end of fighting, but questions over the bungled campaign and the squandering of lives would surely follow. That might limit Putin's ability to restart the war, and may even pose a threat to his power. Putin cannot give up the war, but the cost of carrying it on is rising. His readiness to continue fighting depends on the pain he is willing to inflict. But the more pain there is, the clearer it will be to Russians that he is bringing ruin upon them.
President Trump's foreign policy has always been peace through strength. And there's the majority of Americans that when they know that their soldiers and their country will be attacked by another foreign country, they will support the president. President Trump's attack is not unconstitutional. He has the right to go to war, and he does not need congressional approval, at least for 60 days. He has that executive power. He's the commander in chief. There are those who believe that he shouldn't go to war and that he should have had a better argument for the American public on why he's going to war. But he has widespread support, considering the fact that, and I know that it's easy to say give diplomacy a chance, but this diplomatic maneuver, as I mentioned, has been going on for over 20 years. And for 20 years, we have heard that ultimately there is going to be a deal. And as Youssef mentioned from Tehran, which I agree with him, the JCPOA in 2015 ended up to be a complete disaster. So at some point in time, when the negotiating sides don't reach a conclusion and American assets in the region, as we see, are at risk, and America feels that there is an existential threat, then the United States has this duty to support its citizens and its bases and go to war. Now, in terms of how much widespread support he'll have, he will have opposition nonetheless. But when it comes to President Trump's foreign policy, it's always been peace through strength, and he's always said Iran can't develop a nuclear weapon. And so nothing has changed in that sense. Now, which way the United States decides to go, well, that depends on who's at the White House.
Indeed. Do continue to stay on with us, Susan. Meanwhile, let's get in some breaking news that's coming, where the Israeli media apparently has stated that Khamenei has been injured in the attack. There's, remember, no confirmation from Tehran on this. This is something that was reported by Channel 12 of Israel, and that is what has been reported here. This is what the Israeli media is claiming, that Khamenei may have apparently sustained injuries in the attacks by the Israelis and the Americans earlier this morning. So it now remains to be seen, because there is, remember, a fog of war in terms of how things are progressing at this moment. It is pretty unclear about the scale of the damage that has been sustained in these initial exchanges of missile strikes that have taken place. The Americans and the Israelis have sparked off this conflict this morning by carrying out a series of bombings in different parts of Iran, targeting several important key locations, including the presidential palace.
My brothers and sisters, citizens of Israel. An hour ago, Israel and the US started a joint campaign, Roaring Lion. The aim is to put an end to the threat of Iran regime. IDF is attacking different facilities of Iran and ballistic missile that threatening on Israel and the US. This is going to continue as we need it. 47 years, the evil regime in Iran calling death to Israel in US threatened the area and had a terror network around the world and put serious infrastructures to delete Israel from the map of the world. It managed to give ammunition to Gaza, Lebanon, and somebody needed the additional proof for the nature of the Ayatollah. They got it last month. We saw how this regime committed massacre in the citizens of Iran themselves, murdered thousands of people, adults, thousands were abused and murdered, only because they asked themselves freedom and honor life. Our soldiers last time managed to commit the Iranians, but this regime didn't stop to revive for the same aim to destroy us. They would like to arrange the missiles to attack us underground. And if we're not going to stop them now, they're going to be resilient. And they are trying to earn time with a negotiation with our friends, the Americans. But in Iran, they made a mistake, because the US does not buy their lies, and we are not going to sit without doing anything when we have this threat above our heads. Now we're going and doing the Roaring Lions. This is going to be a massive attack, and we're going to do it together with the US under the leadership of Trump. And together with Trump, we're going to eat the terror of Iran, and we're going to create conditions that the Iranian citizens will be able to rise. In the last operation, many times I've been asked if we would like to destroy the regime. And I said it wasn't the aim, but it could be the result. And that's exactly what started. When millions of Iranians went to the streets, and now they have the opportunity to take their own destiny in their hands. Citizens of Israel, like in this previous operation and now in Roaring Lions, we will have to have resilience, and we have to have courage, and we're going to have to pay prices, maybe heavy prices. But I know what forces, wonderful forces, are within the citizens of Israel. Since the start of this war, we stood together, and today we're going to stand together. Courage with brothership. I'm asking all of you to follow the instructions of the Home Command, because we know these instructions are saving lives. Each operation has a risk, but the risk not to act is bigger, because otherwise we'll receive radioactive Iran and will be resilient against our actions against them. We have no chance, and we have no other way but to go for an operation together with the State of Israel and the United States. I'm going to turn into the citizens of Israel. You are not our enemy, and we are not your enemy, and you are not our enemy. We have a common enemy, the regime, the Revolutionary Guards. They are the one who put this country into this position. And therefore, I'm telling you, anyone who put down their weapons, including in the regime, will make sure that he is going to be safe. The Farsi, the Kurds, Azar, the Baluchi and the Avazim. This is your opportunity to put together a new free Iran. Look at the sky. Our forces are there. The pilots of the free world. Help has arrived. And I believe that it's not far that Israel and Iran are going to act together for security and peace and prosperity. Citizens of Israel, I would like to thank from my bottom of my heart to Trump and the American nation, He's not just the biggest friend of Israel in all time, he's also a determined leader of the free world. And he looks at the future and acting from courage. We are bringing together light, big light, to anyone who has courage. I'm saluting to everyone in the Defense Forces, to the Mossad, Shabak, Defense Forces, to their partners, and I salute them for their courage. And I'm telling you, all nations standing behind you and praying for you. In 2 days, we're going to celebrate Purim, 2,500 years. We had these evil forces that came against us, and Mordechai and Esther, with their courage, saved our country. At those days of Purim, the destiny decided, and also today in the holiday of Purim, the destiny is determined, and the end of the regime is close. The prophet of Amos, in this operation, Roaring Lions, we stand together as one person, and with the help of God, will secure the faith of Israel.
נבטיח את נצח ישראל.